your dogs to the beach is one of the most fun things that you can do with your dogs. I love taking my girls. My girls love it. Now, I have 3 dogs, one of which loves the water, one of which is uncertain about the water, and the tiny one does not like water because little dogs mostly don't like water. And so all 3 of them love going to the beach. They have a ball. We've talked about how to make the most out of your time at the beach with dogs, whether they like the water or not. So check out those other videos. But now we want to talk a little bit about what you should be taking as a responsible pet parent. And there's a lot to consider. Now, I'm going to give you a bunch of great ideas. These are not all of the ideas, and you do not necessarily need all these things, but I'm going to give them to you so you can make the best decisions for you, depending on the space you have available. If you're flying somewhere, that's going to be different than driving. If you're driving with a full family, that's different than driving as a single mom. So there's a lot of things that you can be doing and considering as you are going on your beach trips. So the first and most important thing that I want you to think about is the leashes you are going to bring. We have done full videos on what leashes to bring to the beach. Watch that. It is incredibly helpful. I recommend 2 main leashes, a normal standardized leash with those traffic handles so that you can control your dog easily, go on your normal walks, you're good to go. You also want to make sure that you have a really long leash, like a 30, 40, 50 foot leash that your dog can play. I also recommend, depending on you and your dog, and if it fits your lifestyle, a hands-free leash that's going to give you a lot more security if you can physically maintain working with your dog on a hands-free leash. But go watch the other video. I break it all down for you. You want to make sure that you have water resistant, chew resistant, and reflective, and leashes that float as you're taking these. And be aware that any leashes that you take to the beach are going to come back pretty icky. So save your good leashes for walking on the boardwalk and going to visit the shops and all of those things. Do not take them on the beach because they will get covered in sand, salt water, dog slobber, all those things. And the water resistant ones, wash. You can wash them and clean them without them smelling and getting all icky. Go watch the other video. I gave lots of great information there. Have multiple leashes and have backup leashes. You're going to need them. But again, all of that's broken down in the other video. Now, another thing that I really like for the beach, depending on what you have for dogs, is a dog stroller. Now, this is not going to be for everybody. This is something you really need to consider depending on what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be doing it and what stage of life your dog is at. I got my dog stroller for my senior dog. I had just lost my dog, and her older sister was a little bit older than her. She wasn't able to keep up and wasn't able to walk the full duration of what we would do for a walk. She wouldn't be able to go on the boardwalk. And so we bought a stroller for her so that she could walk as far as she could. And then when she started to hurt, she would ride in the stroller. Then after we lost both of my dogs and we got my new puppies, those were good for my puppies before they were fully vaccinated and they were not allowed to touch the ground in public. Really good transportation. They also really help. And this is the kicker, okay? Strollers are good for transporting them, but there's good for so many other things at the beach. So picture this with me. You're arriving to the hotel. You have to get your dogs from your car, through the lobby, into the elevator, up to your room. The first time is probably going to be a little traumatic, and you're also trying to get your luggage in and get out of everybody's way. Put your dogs in the stroller, put a blanket over the thing, get them in. Then deal with learning how to do elevators and work in lobbies and all of those things. Just get them in. This is also good for getting them out. When you're trying to get all your luggage out and the luggage cart and all the things, just controlled environment. Gets them from point A down to your car, which, by the way, is in a parking lot or it is by the road. You do not want any incidents with your dogs in traffic. So get them in those strollers. If you have one, use it for that. If you don't, that's fine. But if you have one, use it for that. I also like it for long walks on the boardwalk. When I go to the beach, when I go to a particular beach, there's a lot of boardwalk, and we love to go with the holiday season. So the lights are out. You're allowed to walk through them until a certain point in time, and then you get kicked out so that the cars can go through. But it's miles of lighting, and not all dogs can do that. You don't necessarily want dogs to be doing that at night for long distances. I did it with my older girls, and boy, they hurting at the end of it. So the stroller is incredibly helpful for controlled environments. Now, speaking of controlled environments, it's also really nice if you're going out to lunch. If you're going out to lunch and you're allowed to sit out on the patio or it's dog friendly, you can keep your dog in the stroller. It's a controlled environment. People cannot touch them, thank God. They cannot eat things off of the floor. They cannot run off. They cannot grab your lunch. It's really helpful to have that as a controlled environment. I use it to protect my dogs when I am in public. Now, my dogs are a little bit older. They don't need a stroller anymore. They're good about walking, but I still have it as a controlled, safe environment that I take with me for getting them in and out of the hotels, for keeping them safe while we are doing long walks on the boardwalk or keeping them away from the men who constantly insist that they can touch my dog without my permission. And I use them when we're out to lunch to give them a safe place to be sitting. It also keeps them off the hot pavement. It keeps them cool so that they don't have to be like in the direct sun because it's kind of shaded. And on this last trip, I learned you can use your strollers as kennels for your dog at night. If they are going off about the person in the hallway that keeps making noise, just stick them in the stroller. If you have more than one, I just got a second stroller, and each of my two big dogs were in the strollers. They were maintained and contained, and they did not react as much to the noise outside, which was really, really great. It also meant that they weren't going to wander around. There weren't going to be any puppy accidents anywhere because they were inside of that stroller, and they were not going to jump on my face in the middle of the night because they are not used to having free reign and being able to jump up on beds when they want to. So there's a lot of benefits to having a stroller if you already have a stroller. I don't necessarily recommend that you need to go out and buy a new stroller because I know those are kind of expensive, but they have so many benefits to senior dogs and to puppies that then you can find so many uses throughout the rest of their life. The rest of their lifespan, you're still able to use this in a lot of ways. So strollers, if you've got one, cannot recommend enough. Another thing that you want to be bringing is a collapsible bowl. You need these. Even if you're bringing dishes for them to eat out of while you're out walking the beach, you should have this in your dog bag. I advocate for carrying your dog bag with you whenever you're out with your dog, whether it's a beach trip, a park trip, you're just going on a car ride, have your dog bags. We've talked a lot about them. If you want to talk more about them, ask me questions. Have one of these in there, have it with you at all times, and carry a water bottle. They are going to get dehydrated running on the beach, and they cannot drink the salt water because it's salt water. So have a collapsible bowl, be able to give them water. You can also get, and I have these and I love them, the little water bottles that are locked, so it's leak proof. And you just put the liquid in the bottom of it, and then you can pour it out into like a little scoop part on the top of the water bottle. They can drink from that. And then you can hit the button again. It goes right back down into the bottle and does not leak. Love those things. Love them. But this is just a little bit more for like space saving. And you can clip it onto things, which is fantastic. So have some of those with you as well. Now you also want to make sure that you are taking your emergency kit. Your hydrogen peroxide should be with you at all times. If they swallow something, you put that down their throat and they spit it back up. Save a dog life. Have the hydrogen peroxide. Have a syringe, like a medicine syringe you can get for little children. Have one of those. My gosh, squirt it down their throat, save the life. It's a really good thing. Have like antibacterial spray and gauze and all the normal things, your tick twisters, all the things we have in our emergency kit for dogs. We talk about that a lot here on the channel. If you've got questions, go ahead and drop those, but have that with you and have, like if you need like a condensed version to put in like your belt bag or your dog bag or whatever, have those there. And if you have a stroller where you're like walking on the boardwalk, tuck it into a pocket. You can have it there as well. You can even get things with like little carabiner clips to just attach to your stroller so that it's always there. But if you have it in your dog bag and you carry your dog bag with you like a responsible dog person, you are good to go. Have your emergency kit. I also recommend a tiny pair of scissors. It doesn't have to be like a big pair of scissors. It can be just like cuticle scissors. Something tiny just in case you need to snip something out of their fur or you need to cut the gauze. It's not going to help if you have to do like heavy duty cutting. If you have to open up a new dog toy or a leash, that's not going to help, but it is going to be there for you and not intrusive in what you are doing. It's not going to hurt anybody. You can put it in your makeup kit and go. I also recommend, because you are going to be in close quarters with your dog, having these dental wipes. These are meant to help clean their teeth. I use these every single night on my dogs. They're not great for cleaning the teeth, but my gosh, they help with the breath. And so because you're going to be in close quarters with your dog in the hotel room, and they're going to be like heavy breathing out while they're running, this is fantastic. You don't know what they're going to pick up. If they're going to pick up some other dog's droppings or just like random things outside, have this. It helps. You just wipe their mouths and they smell minty fresh. It's beautiful and fantastic. You also want to make sure that you're taking any content creation things that you're doing. So your phone, your lights, your cameras, your whatever, because you don't want to miss documenting your dog's time at the beach, which is so much fun. And you want to make sure that you've got those for them. I also recommend you are taking blankets for them to lay on. Some of these floors are going to be like hardwood floors. They're going to be cold. They're not going to be fun. Blankets are going to be a little slippery, but it gives them somewhere to lay. If they have some kind of emotional support, toy, pillow, blanket, bring it. Pop-up tents for them to sleep in if they're used to kennels are really, really helpful. It depends on your dog. I have a little pop-up dog kennel tent thing that just folds right down and collapses. I can stick it in my trunk and I'm good to go. That worked really well for my Jada. There was a few year span where she had some serious anxiety and she spent every night inside of that little pop-up kennel, and we took that on vacation with us, and that was where she slept. And so if you need something like that, absolutely bring that. Again, strollers are a great alternative to that. If you have a stroller, just use one of those, lock the wheels, and you're good to go. But the pop-up tents take up very little room and very helpful and gives them somewhere to sleep. Especially if they're used to kennels, they are, of course, if your dog is going to scratch at it, if your dog is going to get upset about it, it will not contain them, but it's a space for them to have the space. I do recommend that if your dog is still like having accidents or things like that, bring some plastic tablecloths, put them over the bed just in case your dog happens to be able to jump up there, especially if you've got like a puppy, because you don't want any accidents on a hotel's bed. You also need to make sure that you are bringing things to clean up after your dog, so poop bags, incredibly important. Some hotels have them, some don't. Some dog-friendly hotels are not dog accommodating, meaning they let your dog be there, but they don't really welcome your dog. They don't really have it designed for dog friendliness, and they won't have poop bags, or they won't have, the last hotel I went to, very dog friendly, not very dog accommodating. It was not one that I'm going to go back to with my dogs because it just wasn't conducive. Beautiful hotel, lovely people, great experience, not really great for dogs though. It just didn't make a lot of sense. Some of the other hotels made more sense. So just be aware that the hotels are not going to be responsible for cleaning up after your dog. You have to do that. And the beaches don't always provide them either. Sometimes they have like dispensers that you can get at the beach. They don't always have those. So be mindful of those things. So you want to make sure that you are thinking about all the areas of what you're going to need for your dog. So bring their food and bring extra food. My gosh. So here's a pro tip. I was going to tell you about this, but here's a pro tip. When you are getting your dogs ready to go, measure out their food. Don't just bring random food. Sit there with Ziplocs. I kid you not, Ziploc bags. If you have more than one dog, write their names in Sharpie and measure out each one by scoop. Whatever you feed them in an individual bag. You can then put them in a bigger bag. You can keep them in a container. I recently found, I didn't buy it, but I want it. It's like one of the next things I'm going to get. It's a collapsible food container. So it actually collapses down, which means if you are driving to the beach, you can bag all the food, put it inside of the container so that it stays fresh and it doesn't make the entire trunk or the hotel room smell like dog food, because my gosh, if you leave it in the open, it will. You can put it in there, put it in your trunk and go. Then your dog's going to eat through that food. You're going to be out of it by the time you are done, and you're going to be able to collapse that, and now you have more room for the souvenirs you're bringing back home. Love it. But you can do any type of bin. You can do a gallon-sized Ziploc, whatever, depending, again, how long you're going. Take enough food for every single meal you will be there, and 2 extra meals. 2 extra meals, because you do not know if you will be delayed, if there will be an accident that slows you down, you don't get home on time, if the weather will prevent you from traveling, if you decide to stay an extra day, if something comes up along the way and you decide to stop by a friend's house, have the extra meals. You do not want to be trying to find a store with your brand so that you can buy a bag and now you have to fit it in your car and in your trunk and you have to open it up and you have to get it out and then you have to get it so that it's contained and doesn't spill all over your trunk. Don't be that person. Bring the extra food. And then when you get home, oh no, your food's already done. All you have to do is whoop and drop it right into their bowl and you're good to go. Bring extra food for every dog there. Every single dog. And pro tip, don't give them weird foods. If they're like trying people food while you're on vacation, don't do that. Just don't do that to their poor little systems or your noses. Don't do that. So make sure you have enough food for them as you are traveling and have that extra. And so you are thinking through what you're doing, from feeding to how you're walking them, to how you're cleaning up after them, to how you're taking care of them if they're in an emergency, to how they're going to be sleeping. You are responsible for all these things. Now you can condense this down. It doesn't have to be a huge ordeal. Do not overpack, but you want to make sure that you have enough to take care of those things. And additionally, if you just don't have room to bring all those things, know where the stores are. Should something happen and you need to run out and get extra dog food, you need to get some type of extra emergency gauze for your dog. Know where the stores are and how close they are and make sure that you can access them easily so that you can get what you need. I do not recommend skipping the hydrant and peroxide though. That is not something you want to try to find at 1 a.m. So make sure that you have access to things, but bring what you can. Now there's a lot of other things you can be bringing. And if you want to talk about those, go ahead and drop that down below. If you got questions, I would love to get those answered for you and to give you more ideas. So let me know if you want more of these types of videos on what to bring for certain occasions with your dog. Remember, we talked about what to have in your dog bag. We've talked about what to have in your emergency kit. I've given you, if you pay attention to Shopping with KM, my other platform where I give you deals on like Amazon must-haves and deals from like Target and Walmart and all those things, I talk about pets almost daily, and so you can pay attention to things you can get on sale for your emergency kit and your leashes and your harnesses and your collars and like all those things. Pay attention to that as well. And then let me know what products we need to be reviewing to help you make the best decisions for you to keep your pets safe, happy, and healthy while you are living your best life with them. We will see you in the upcoming videos as we're dropping daily videos to help you navigate the world of being a dog parent and making sure your dog is thriving. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.